What's up, everyone? Happy Saturday. We are about 22 hours away from kickoff in the first slate of games. And I'm going to go through a couple more plays than I usually do. Now, not to mention any names or talk bad about anyone, but I saw someone else's picks video, their final look video this week, and for quarterback, they named off like 8 different plays, 8 different quarterbacks, and I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna give you 2 or 3 at best. But anyways, let's do this. This is for cash games. I'm also gonna mention GPP tournaments, and when I do, I'll actually say GPP. So bear with me. Okay. So before we get into quarterbacks, I think for cash, the most important thing is to lock in your running backs. And the 2 most popular plays this week, McCaffrey and Eckler. This Panthers-Texans game is sneakily creeping up to about 50 combined points, I believe. And the news that Melvin Gordon might actually play helps drop down the ownership on Eckler. There is no way Melvin Gordon plays in this game. I don't know why the Chargers organization is saying that he might play. I mean, I could picture them, like, him going through warm-ups and maybe being dressed for the game, but they don't need him against the Dolphins. Come on. Eckler is totally fine. I think people are viewing this as 20 to 25 touches because after this, he's just going to be the third down back. Plus, Justin Jackson, it looks like he may not suit up. So pay attention to that news. But before all this news about Melvin Gordon, Eckler was going to be 80% owned. So you have to play someone who's going to be really highly owned in cash so that you don't fall behind, especially early on. All right. So this next, the third running back play is up for debate. I'm hearing a lot of talk about Ingram. And, okay, so first of all, I'm going with 2 cash lineups this week. Ingram is on my second cash lineup, although I think the Browns are going to be focused in on him. Just watching them play my Rams on Sunday night, not sure how many of you caught the game, but the Browns defense, they lined up how the Patriots did in the Super Bowl. So they lined up everyone pretty much at the line of scrimmage, daring Goff to throw. And Goff had Cooper Kupp that game, and he didn't in the Super Bowl, so the Rams got through it with Cooper Kupp, basically. And then they threw deep to Cooks, and used Cooks a lot more. So I think they're going to dare Lamar Jackson to throw. However, it is a road game for the Browns, and the Browns are the Browns, and I think they're going to shut Ingram down, but just in case I have him on a second cash team, I think he's going to be highly owned. I don't know the percentages, but just in case he runs for 200 yards, I'm protected. So, but my top choice for that flex position for running back is Marlon Mack. I have an argument, like my first look, for Kerryon Johnson, and the more I look at it, the more I like Kerryon Johnson. But I think Marlon Mack has the higher floor. And you kind of figure how that game is going to go. You have no idea how this game script, how the game flow is going to go in this Chiefs game. All you know is there's probably going to be a lot of points scored. But for a cash game, I like Marlon Mack. For GPP, I do like Kerryon Johnson as a good pivot. And let's go. Let's bring in Mack. I think he's got a 12-point floor. So for cash games, you want someone to have a pretty decent floor. Okay. And I know that Marlon Mack doesn't qualify for it, but usually a good amount of floor, is a running back who can also catch. If you have 4 to 6 catches out of the backfield, those, will drive up your points in your point floor. Okay, so quarterback, again, if you want to play it safe, Mahomes or Lamar Jackson, you can't go wrong. They both should be 25 to 30 points, if not more, but this is not how we do cash. We try to find value. Let's see. I named Russell Wilson in my first look video. He's on my second cash lineup. My second cash lineup, meaning my first cash lineup, is playing in more cash games. I'm spending more money on the first lineup, and the second lineup is just for like a backup. So I have Russell Wilson. I love him, but I can also see the Seahawks treating this game like they have to run the ball. And I know Chris Carson's in the doghouse, and Penny's really ineffective, and Precise is like the third down back, the receiving back. But I can see Pete Carroll and whoever's calling their play. I think Brian Schottenheimer's there calling the plays. I can see them trying to get back into their running game, which is why I don't have them on my first cash lineup team. But I can also see him throwing for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns and running one in. So I think for my first cash lineup, he's a little bit expensive, and I can't fit everyone in with him there. We're going to go down, way down. Everyone is going to play Daniel Jones. So that might be a good reason to play him. This Giants and Skins game has the potential to just get crazy. I like Daniel Jones because he reminds me, he's like a cross between Eli Manning and Tebow. He doesn't need to be good in real life, but for fantasy, he could run 40, 50 yards and score a touchdown like what Tebow did. I know Tebow would run for like 80 to 100 yards and touchdown, kind of like the Lamar Jackson threat. And without Saquon, he might be running a lot. But I don't know. My argument against Daniel Jones is that this is his second start in the NFL. This looks like, even though he's at home, this looks like a trap game for him. I'm not saying he's going to get 5 points. As long as he gets 18 and up, which I think he will, he's a good play. And I was thinking this more of a GPP play, but the more I think about it, I think a lot of people will play Case Keenum in GPPs, and I think a lot of people will play him in cash. I love him in this cash. The only downside is if he gets hurt, or they pull him for Haskins. But I think the Skins have a chance to win this game. I don't think you'll see Haskins in this game. That Bears game, he had 5 turnovers, and if he didn't have any, he would have 24 points against that Bears defense. I'm not going to show you guys. I'm just going to tell you real quick. Jameis Winston, he went from 13 points in week 2 to 29 or 30 points in week 3 against the Giants defense. And I do like playing quarterbacks who are at home, but I don't think it matters in this case. I think Keenum will have to throw for 300, 350, even 400 yards and a couple touchdowns. So I love this, and it gives me a chance to pair him up with McLaurin. If McLaurin's hurt, I like Paul Richardson. McLaurin's coming in banged up, which may drop down his ownership. Just pay attention before kickoff. I think it's usually an hour and a half before kickoff. We'll come out with the news of who's playing and who's not and who's banged up and whatnot. Again, if he's not playing, Richardson might be the play here. But I think McLaurin, if he's playing, will be owned 60 to 70% if you have to play him. But we're pairing him up with Keenum, which I don't know what the percentages on Keenum are. Like, whenever I think like he's a quarterback's going to be 20% owned, which is a lot, in cash, they're like 5 to 8% owned. So who knows? But I think my My thinking is that Keenum is going to be is going to have higher ownership in a GPP and not cash. But the safe side might be Daniel Jones. But if you're like me, I like to take a little bit of a risk. Okay. So the next receiver, pretty much that you have to play almost is Keenan Allen. He's going to be the highest receiver owned. And in GPP, you might want to fade him. But then again, Amari Cooper played the Dolphins last week and had 2 touchdowns, and that was with Zeke as the running back. I'm not saying Keenan Allen will have 2 touchdowns. He's more of a high volume play, which is great for cash. He might catch 15 passes for 150 yards. And that's like a 33 and not score a touchdown. Like he had 2 touchdowns last week, which he's 3 on the year, which is high for him. He's not a high touchdown threat. So for fantasy, for DFS, you can't try to predict touchdowns. You can only predict volume and targets. So, and basically who the go-to guy is on each team. And this is the go-to guy. With that said, if Mike Williams outscores him, that's just how it goes sometimes. But he should be 80% owned. If he's not, then I don't know what to say. But just play him in cash. Do whatever you want in GPP. From some other YouTube channels, I think they're saying he might be 33% owned in GPP, which is kind of surprising. But I'd play him in a couple GPPs and not play him in a couple other GPPs. Okay. Oh, let's talk about some other guys I like who are on my second team. Christian Kirk, I think, is a very good play for cash and GPP tournaments. I think we're going to see him slowly outshine Larry Fitzgerald. I think this is the game to do it. Fitzgerald might attract the top cornerback on your team. Kirk will have the second best cornerback on the team. They'll both run out of the slot a lot of times. Kirk has a lot of receiver screens thrown to him. They can go for big yards. So I think he's going to be the play. I had to rearrange a lot of GPP lineups to fit him in, but also have him in one of... no, I don't have him in my cash lineups. But I have him in GPP, but he's excellent cash play as well. If you want to pivot off of McLaurin for GPP or even for cash, my other cash game play I like a lot is Curtis Samuel. Where is he? Love him in cash, love him in GPP. The Texans defense, they give up the 5th most fantasy points to receivers so far this year. I think a lot of people are going to own Curtis Samuel in cash. I think a really good GPP stack is this Panther stack. And on one of my GPP teams, I have Samuel, DJ Moore, McCaffrey, and Kyle Allen. I really wanted to fit Olsen in there too. I usually don't go with 4 on the same team playing. Like usually you go 3, like a quarterback and 2 pass catchers, or quarterback, running back, and a receiver or tight end. But I really think this game could exceed the total points and be the highest scoring game on the slate. And I don't think a lot of people are actually looking at this game as a whole, as a game stack. I think people want to take Curtis Samuel, put him in there. People want to take Greg Olsen, put him do it as like a one-off on their team. But I think a game stack of the Panthers, it might just be the winning ticket in some of these tournaments here. But don't quote me on that. Don't throw all your money in on the Panthers. It's just a theory. I don't know how it might work 20% of the time, but I feel strongly about this Panthers team with Kyle Allen, and them on the road is going to lower their ownerships a lot because a lot of people like to play home teams, especially for stacks. But I think it's going to be kind of a sleeper game stack even, and you can run it back with Fuller, or run it back with that tight end that no one plays and no one's heard of yet, or run it back with Hopkins, even though Hopkins is expensive. I mean, because Bradbury, as the quarterback of the Panthers, is prone to giving up big games to receivers, but he's also prone to shutting receivers down. So, take it as you will. Okay, let's see. Just going through my notes real quick. I think... Oh, okay. The other receiver I like that I also have if you want to save money... And I don't know how good this Chargers secondary is. Where is he? Preston Williams, 3,900. Save money. His floor looks like it's 10. He doesn't need a touchdown. Josh, like myself included, people were worried about his targets going down with Josh Rosen. Targets doubled with Rosen. So 12 targets. If he gets 7 or 8 targets, I'll take that every day at this price. Cash games are all about volume, and if your receivers get 8 to 10 targets per game, you're in good shape. Okay. Also, I had to go back and add in a couple more GPP lineups because Cooper Kupp, he's the second best option for receiver on the slate. Like for cash games, I would just do Keenan Allen. If you want to try to fit them both in and take a hit at running back, maybe. But I also like 2 higher price running backs. But Cooper Kupp, he is doing what we hoped Todd Gurley to go back to doing. Cooper Kupp is an extension of the run game on 3rd and 1s, 3rd and 2s, 3rd and 3s. They're throwing a Cooper Kupp, and he's wide open. He's the top red zone target on this team. He is wide open. He just runs across the field. He runs across the field, and he loses the cornerback or safety or linebacker that's put on him, and he's just lost. And even if he's covered, he's open. Because I remember going back, so if you go back to his college tape, I thought he was going to be Jordy Nelson. Back when Jordy Nelson was good. Because his college tape is him being the number 1 receiver on the team, line up on the outside, and just jump ball, just having a lot of jump ball catches, and a lot of acrobatic kind of catches with him well covered, because he's not the fastest player. But on this Rams team, they use him like how Todd Gurley was used at the beginning of last season before he kind of wore down. So at 6,500, his price is only going to go up. He's going to be highly owned, but I think on at least one GPP team, you might want to try to squeeze him in. Maybe as a pivot off of Keenan Allen, or heck, maybe with Keenan Allen. How many people are going to have Keenan Allen and Cooper Kupp on the same GPP team? So individually they might be 30% owned, but maybe only 10% have them, both. So that's another way to think about pivots and how to do GPP teams. Okay, let me look at my notes. Sorry for, this might be a long video. Oh, we got 19 minutes. Holy cow. Okay, so let's go tight end real quick. I'm going to talk faster. Let's go through them. Will Dissly, he's the man this week. That's all I'm going to say about that. The Cardinals are terrible against tight ends. For a GPP play, the Falcons are bad against tight ends. Delaney Walker is in play here. No one's going to have him. Guaranteed he's going to be under 5% owned. Evan Ingram, I really like. So if you Go with Daniel Jones. He might be a good play. And I think Travis Kelce is going to be underowned. There's so many cheap, good tight end plays this week. Everyone's going to forget about Kelce. And this might be his breakout game of 30 points or more. So you might want to maybe double stack the tight. I had a Kelce Ingram GPP, but then I bumped Ingram up to Cooper Kupp to squeeze him in. So if you really want to be contrarian and in a GPP type play, Tyler Higbee. If he goes for 10, 12 points, he opens up so much on your team. And he should be back. You saw what Ingram did. Ingram, he turned a 7-yard play to a 75-yard touchdown. I'm not going to say Higbee will do that. Everett is more of a candidate to do that. But Higbee, man, might be wide open, and he might take... he might be a good pivot off of Cooper Kupp, actually. He's half the price, and he might take some catches away because they love throwing that tight end screen to him for touchdowns. He might fall into the end zone one time and get 12 points. So, just saying. Okay, I'm not going to talk about defense, but the one thing about defense is you don't have to have a high priced defense. What Draftkings is doing, they're putting all the home teams as the higher priced defenses and playing all the away teams as the lower priced defenses. You might want to look at the Bills. They're at home. I know they're going up against the Patriots. I actually kind of like the Browns a little bit. But you might have to play the Bears. Okay. So, a couple other things I want to address. For GPP, Baker Mayfield might be under 1% owned at 5,800. He's going to be lost in the shuffle. No one's going to play him. No one is going to want to play him. He's been struggling. The Ravens played the Chiefs last, so of course Mahomes threw for over 350 yards. Where are the Ravens? Okay, but in week 2, they also gave up over 350 yards to Kyler Murray in his second start in the NFL. If you pair him up with Beckham, ODB, that might finish first in a field of 200,000 people. If, of course, you need the other plays to be right as well, but that might be a great head start for if you have 10 GPP lineups, combinations, you might want to throw them into one of them. Let's see. Oh, yeah, so that goes, again, in GPPs especially, play guys that struggled the last week. This is such a recency-biased thing here. But Hollywood Brown, Kenny Galladay. I have Kenny Galladay on a bunch of teams. I think I'm playing him on cash on my second lineup with like Russell Wilson and Lockett and Disley. Galladay, and also Stafford Galladay. Even Marvin Jones. I don't know. I don't have faith in Marvin Jones anymore. I know he had a good game last week. But I tend to pick players a week too early. So Stafford and Galladay might have 30 points tomorrow. So I have him in a couple GPP teams, and I think the second cash team I should have said. And just going through my notes. For running back, GPP running back might be a good pair with Keenum. Chris Thompson. His floor seems like it's 10 points, maybe 14. But AP, of course, might score 2 touchdowns or 1 touchdown. But is AP going to carry the ball 20 times? No, Chris Thompson's going to get 7 or 10 carries. He's going to get 5 to 8 targets in the passing game. He might be able to break the slate tomorrow. Like Baker Mayfield, Chris Thompson, they both might break the slate. I'm not saying play them together, but you never know. But so when you play Baker Mayfield in your 20th different lineup combination, you play him with Beckham, with ODB, you might want to run it back with Hollywood Brown. Hollywood Brown might have over 200 yards receiving tomorrow. You have no idea, but I know that not a whole lot of people will play him, or not as many people will play him like they did in week 2. Anyways, I think that's gonna be it. Sorry for the video to run a little bit long. Yeah, I was gonna say, I was gonna make a joke. Just hit the 2 times speed, so it's only 12.5 minutes. But you've gone through the whole video, and I didn't say that at the beginning, so that'd be pointless. So that's why I paused for 5 seconds. Anyways, thank you so much. If you could do me a favor, and if you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button. Smash that thumbs up. It helps a lot. And comment below who you're playing, who I didn't mention, who you like that I mentioned, who you don't like, and let's have a conversation. We have, about 21.5 hours until kickoff, so let's do it. All right, guys, let's win some money tomorrow, and I will see you on the next one.